Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Premier Sim Gaming Leagues. We're getting towards the business end now of the PlayStation F3 season. 5 rounds remaining, and round 8 is at the Marina Bay Circuit. One of the first night race in Formula 1 and one of only 2 on the calendar. It is the Singapore Grand Prix. My name is Luke Etheridge. I will be bringing you the action for tonight. 18 laps of qualifying, 18 minutes of qualifying, 31 laps in the race. My co-commentator Sam Thompson should be along shortly. He's just been held up with something, and hopefully when he does come, we'll be able to see a fascinating race. The last time out at the Russian Grand Prix. Sorry. I'll get there in the end. The last time out at the Russian Grand Prix, there was so much action going on. It was a fascinating race, plenty of action, late safety cars. In the end, though, it was a familiar result with M Shorts taking the race victory. A best result of the season, though, for his teammate Black Phoenix, making it a 1-2 for the McLaren team. And Alpha Faz as well, getting his first podium of the season in his first appearance, actually, since round 3 of the championship at the Belgian Grand Prix. What that does mean, though, for the Drivers' Championship with Lakitu, the main rival of M Short, only managing to finish in 5th position. M Short now has a 23-point lead at the top of the standings, and really, it does look as though Lakitu is the only person who can stop him. The McLaren driver on 88, Lakitu in the Renault on 65. Zach still actually in 3rd place despite having left the lead on 37. Cedric has 32 points, and Lars rounding out the top 5 on 31 points, and that 1-2 giving McLaren a big hand in the Constructors' Championship. They are now 31 points ahead of Renault. 111 for McLaren, 80 for Renault, 62 for Red Bull. Mercedes a further 6 points behind on 56, and Racing Point rounding out the top half of the Constructors on 42. Then you have AlphaTauri on 30, Ferrari on 26, Haas on 18, Williams on 15, Alfa Romeo on 11 points. I can tell you, I know you guys can't see it yet, but it is looking dry for qualifying, and it is quite a difficult qualifying session indeed around the Marina Bay Circuit. Plenty of corners, plenty of traction zones. The rear tyres take a bit of a hammering. 23 corners around the circuit, over 5.063 kilometers, and you can see the calendar on your screen now. USA next time out, then a trip across the border to Mexico, Abu Dhabi and Japan, which will be on the 8th of March, the final races in the F3 tier, and it is starting to look more and more likely that it is going to be M Short securing the title for the 2nd season in a row here in PSGL F3. We've got a McLaren driver slightly running away with things at the moment. We'll wait and see if anyone can stop him. Maybe Lakitu, maybe someone else. But if it is going to happen, they're going to have to start pretty soon with the challengers and trying to obviously get themselves up to that championship. We're just going to then, as we wait for the drivers to head out in qualifying. They are out on track now, and we are going to go on board with Cornet for his first run in this qualifying session, and instantly he's invalidated that, so I seem to have jinxed them earlier and earlier every week. So let's go on board with Lars then, his teammate in the Racing Point, then heading down towards turn 1 now. It's a very tricky first part of the lap, very easy to run wide and invalidate through that part of the circuit. Heading now down through turn 4 into turn 5, and again he's another driver who's invalidated. Track limits proving to be quite tough for the drivers tonight. Black Phoenix, who got a podium last time around, he now heads down Raffles Boulevard flat out through turn 6, probably the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit, down into that turn 7 left-hander here. And a feature of this circuit, as with a lot of street circuits, these 90-degree or almost 90-degree right and left handers that seem to follow each other. As he now comes through 8 and 9, heading towards the Singapore Sling. Used to be a chicane, now just a simple left-hander through turn 10. Pretty tricky chicane through 11 and 12. Easy to undo over there, over the Anderson Bridge, and then heavy braking for turn 13. And it is crucial to get a good exit through turn 13 as you open the DRS for the final DRS zone on this track. Now into the final sector of the lap, into turn 14. Very easy to run and wide and outbrake yourself at that part of the circuit. Flat through 15, and then these 90-degree left and right handers that really end the track here through 16 and 17 underneath the grandstand at turn 18. Watch out for that wall on the right hand side. It is very easy to clip it nice and steady through 19 into 20 and 21, and then this double apex left-hander to finish the lap at 22 and 23. And Black Phoenix just invalidated towards the end there. He has set, though, a 133.476, but it won't count. A lot of the drivers do seem to be struggling with track limits. We've not got that many. This is unfortunate to say. We haven't got too many drivers actually with us tonight, so I just wonder if we're going to see some... I wonder if we're going to see some drivers attempt the medium tyres. The medium one-stop, soft two, well, medium to hard tyre is probably the best strategy around this circuit. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we do see a few drivers trying that. Gonanen has headed straight into the pits, as I think has Ginger. No one, as you can see there, we're nearly all the way through the... Well, we're nearly a third of the way through this session. No one's yet to set a clean lap. Lakitu clouting into the pit wall there. I think they've realised, because there's not a lot of people here, it might be worth just starting on the medium tyres. M-Short, is he going to dive into the pits? No, he's actually going to finish a lap, and as long as he doesn't run wide out of the first corner, he's going to be the first driver to head across the line on a 1:32.966. Good lap then from the McLaren driver. Further down the order, Sebvet goes into second place then on a 1:34.009. He did get a 10-second time penalty at the Russian Grand Prix for an incident with IFR Falk. Falk missing tonight, unfortunately. Sebvet also getting a warning for a separate incident as well. Didn't change anything with the points, but it did swap the two cars around, with the Haas driver dropping from 13th to 14th position. Who else have we got on a hot lap at the moment? Let's see what Alpha Fels can do then in the Renault. Had a great performance last time around. His first real performance where we've seen him towards the front of the order was probably one of the pre-season favourites after putting in a good performance last season in F2, finishing in the end in third in the F2 Championship, currently 12th in the Championship, and as we said, the best result of third place last time around, an 8th in Australia and 9th at Silverstone, and failing to finish the Belgian Grand Prix where he was involved in a collision, missing 3 races before Russia. Really put him on the back foot, and probably put Renault on the back foot ever so slightly in the Constructors' Championship. And we are now starting to see a few drivers just think about starting to put on a set of the medium tyres. It's still plenty of time to go in this session. 11 minutes remaining. M-Short, Sebvet, the only two drivers that have set a lap time at this moment in time. And I do believe my co-commentator has entered the comms box. Sam, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Sorry I'm a bit late, but I'm all done now. I'm all sorted. I can now join the lobby, and hopefully we can get on some good comms tonight. But honestly, it's cold in my room. It's cold in my house because it's been snowing all day, and you know we need some good warm up. And guess what? Commentary is definitely a place that warms us all up, and it's obviously a place where we can have a lot of fun, and hopefully we have a fun race tonight as well.
Yeah, the tyres will definitely get warmed up around here. That is one thing for sure. Alpha Faz going into third place then on a 1:34.181. Just wonder whether he left a bit of time out there on track at the moment. Simon, he's invalidated his lap. Shapalele invalidating his as well. We're seeing a lot of these, and that final corner is really tricky, and a bit like the final corner at Russia. If you run wide there, you're not only ruining the lap you're on at the moment, you'll be ruining your next one as well.
Yeah, and this is a track that actually, if you put on the soft tyres, it's probably not the best decision. It's actually better to go onto the medium qualifiers in medium tyres in qualifying, and this is one of those tracks where people actually want Codemasters to add in that, obviously, where you can actually choose what tyres you want for each session, and this one is probably a crucial one, since you only have one tyre of the mediums and every single one else is on the softs. Technically, you only have one run to do, so I guess that is probably the main point, but only 14 drivers here tonight, I've noticed, so not the greatest reception, but I think, interestingly, there's going to be a lot of drivers looking to get onto those mediums in the end, and I guess M-Short is probably the only one that stands out for me that probably isn't.
Yeah, that time, very quick indeed. I can't see him beating that on the medium tyres. And I think the fact that we have only got 14 drivers, it's going to help a few drivers think, well, I probably am going to get into the top 10 on the medium tyres. It's a lot more possible than it would be otherwise. We thought it might happen at some other circuits, but because of how close the field is, we regularly see the entire grid within 5-6 tenths of a second. You can't get away from it. Joey looks as though he's going on to the intermediate tyres. I mean, he'll start last if he ends up doing... Well, he won't start last, actually, because Shapalele has retired from the session. I'm not sure if he's done that on the way into the pits, as in he's chosen to retire from the session, or he's crashed it out in the pit wall.
Yeah, and that's a typical Chapelele thing, but I wonder if it is to do with just a simple correction. It's very tight into that pit lane. But the annoying thing is about that pit lane is that if you cross over it by any way, the PSGL stewards will notice it. When they notice it, they can actually get penalised for it. And even at this track where it is so difficult to stay within the lines, you can easily make a mistake. And I'm guessing that's what Chapelele has done out the exit of there, has gone in and comes into the pits, and how slow you've got to really enter into it. And also you've got to slow down as well. So when you think about speeding up, you've just got to slow down again. So it's very tricky, this pit lane, both on entry and exit.
Yeah, it is indeed. It's one of the biggest pit lane losses we see on the calendar. 25 seconds lost in the pit lane, partly due to the speed limit in the pit lane, 60 kilometers an hour, so around 37 miles per hour, and the length of it. And like you mentioned, Sam, the entry is easy to get wrong. We've seen Lakitu just click the wall there earlier, and the exit, very easy to go over that line, and you can get warnings and penalised for it. Let's see what Benny Traeger can do then on the soft tyres. Is he going to go for a full-on flat-out lap, or is he going to try maybe just to leave a bit in hand and just getting a bit of practice on those tyres? He has done well in qualifying so far, but it's an interesting theme that we've seen, actually. The only time anyone has won from pole position all season was round 1 of the year at the Australian Grand Prix, where M-Shot won, and amazingly, the pole sitter at each of the last 3 races has failed to score any points whatsoever.
Oh, I just wonder if that's just down to perhaps quality. No, I'm joking. These drivers are very talented in the race as well, but we talk about how close this grid is and how close the spread is. This is a track that's really going to challenge that. I believe Singapore is probably where you see the biggest gaps. Perhaps Vietnam beats it. I'm not entirely sure, but this is definitely a track where you see a lot of gaps in the pace of drivers. And in reality, qualifying as well is much more important than most tracks here. Considering there's no real overtaking opportunities through sector 3, as I'm on board with Louis right now, it's very tight, of course, through there as well. So no real overtaking opportunities there. Qualifying performance is quite important, but also I'm just intrigued to see how this grid will line up today, and whether we'll see a little bit more surprises, and maybe a little bit more surprises in the weather, but the tyre choice doesn't really tell the story.
No, it doesn't. Louis has gone into second position then on a 1:33.6. Simon diving into the pit lane. Lakitu going into the pits as well. Joey doing the lap on the intermediate tyres. Now, this suggests to me that maybe the rain's not going to be expected too much, as M-Shot was a 1:32.546. He's pretty much just got to the track to himself at this moment in time. Everyone else is either... Most of the drivers are in the pit lane. We've had Louis and Seb Vettel finish their laps. Joey's just doing one at the moment, which, because no one else has set a time, would put him in 4th place. And obviously he'd get that fresh choice of tyres at the start of the race. It's a bit of a shortcut that you can do to get into fresh tyres when there's no one else, when there's not too many drivers attending.
Yeah, but this is obviously a track that even with that sort of thing, it's obvious what tyres everyone's going to go for. It's going to be for the medium tyres. And as you see in this qualifying session, a lot of people have already set laps or are going to be doing a lap on the mediums, as suggested by the tyre choice to your left there. So really, it's really not really too much of a point going on the intermediates, because everyone else has still got fresh mediums on the end there, and they're going to be just sitting in the pit lane waiting for the optimum time to go out, and they'll get out and set their lap time. And I guess the only plus here is that it is quite easy to invalidate. So if people do invalidate, it could actually be quite interesting for Joey, because he could start around or Black Phoenix or Ginger, for example. But I'm mainly talking about Joey, since he's confirmed to be setting a lap on the intermediates, as it looks like. And really for them, if there is a lot of invalidations, they can play it to their advantage. They can go on the hard tyres, but how much of an advantage the hard tyres here? I'm not too sure, but the reverse strategy definitely works quite a treat round here, because of obviously less fuel in the car.
Yes, definitely, it does indeed. We'll see what sort of time, well, we know where it will put Joey, but this time might actually be pretty relevant compared to how Black Phoenix and Ginger do. It's 151.755, and he'll be hoping that it doesn't mean too much in the race. Otherwise, he might regret having put a bit of a hot load through those intermediate tyres. Gonanainen out on an outlap at the moment. Lakitu and Cornet out on an outlap as well. I wonder if we'll see any drivers actually try and start the race on a set of the hard tyres and maybe try and play the long game, especially if any rain is forecast in the latter part of the race.
I think that's possibly what Joey, Black Phoenix, and Ginger are perhaps thinking about here, because obviously, even though this track is only really for the medium tyres, for say, the grid is not small enough to really say that the intermediates are worth going on. If the grids are 10 or lower, then yeah, I get it. But with a 40-man grid, I don't suspect to see that unless there's some sort of hint of something like rain about in the air. And I wonder if that is the case, that in the race towards the end we are looking at some rain. But this could actually be a golden strategy for these three drivers, or this just could be a curse for them. So that'll be a big one to watch out for. Also, let's not forget they will be saving their medium tyres where everyone else wouldn't be. So they'll actually be on fresh mediums as well, which is 3 laps fresher. Not too much of a difference, but could be helpful either way.
Yeah, it could definitely be helpful. I mean, especially won't be a lot of difference, because at the moment, you can say someone like, for example, Gonanainen, who's out on a hot lap on those medium tyres, if he's done a pretty steady out lap, he could get away with doing a very steady hot lap as well. Set a time, mid-140s. He'll be miles faster than Joey. He does a steady in lap as well. He's not really put a lot of heat through those medium tyres, but he's guaranteed that he will be starting ahead of them. So it is interesting what the different drivers will be going for. Gonanainen out on a lap at the moment. M-Short, Louis, and Sebvet also on one as well. Interestingly, that despite the fact that you can see there that Louis has set his best time on the mediums, he is going out on a set of the soft tyres. Maybe a bit of a glory here to start at the front of the grid.
Yeah, and I don't know really what's going on really with the intermediate tyres. I could only suggest the rain at the end. And, I think Louis is a surprise to me. He did set a good time on the medium tyres. I was surprised he's gone on to the softs actually to set a lap time, because the mediums are definitely favourable around here. A lot of people who started on the softs in other sort of events and everything, or other sort of leagues and everything like that, or other times at this track anyway, they haven't really gone on to be too successful. These soft tyres only really give you an advantage for 1 or 2 laps or so forth, and then they're just completely depleted compared to the medium tyres. And I don't really understand the reasoning for qualifying on the soft tyres, but I guess M-Short is a little bit more reasonable than Louis, for example, simply because he's got quite a gap in the championship. He doesn't really need to fuss about drivers behind him, and especially if Akitu's qualifying in 12th. Why not? Let's just have some fun. Set the fastest lap you can in qualifying, and then give yourself a challenge in the race. And I don't think he'll bother too much about what lap times he sets. His Black Phoenix actually beats Joey by 5/10. So even on the intermediate tyres and dry conditions, we've got a bit more of a competitive nature for the drivers, which is quite unique.
Yes, we have indeed. We have got some interesting news in the chat from LRBF1. Rain is forecast at the end of the race, so Simon now goes up into second on the medium tyres. I think it's pretty clear that those outside of the top 10 might decide to start on the hards, or stretch a set of mediums if possible until the rain comes. If you're qualifying on the soft tyres, especially if you're M-Short, as it looks as though he will be qualifying on pole position, he's just got to floor it at the start of the race, then maybe change to either another set of softs or another set of mediums, try and make up that 25-second pit loss, and then see what happens when the rain comes. It's an interesting strategy to see what the different drivers are going to attempt round here. Benny Traeger's invalidated his lap again, so with a checkered flag, he won't be setting another time. Gonanainen also heading towards the pits. He is currently in 8th place. Louis has invalidated, so with Ginger on a set of the intermediate tyres, he won't be going on pole. M-Short has got pole position. You might as well just relax on this lap and not put another heat run through them, because it's fair to say the AI isn't exactly light on the tyres on an in lap, so that'll put an extra couple of percent that you could probably do without.
Yeah, and I think interestingly for M-Short, I wonder if he's trying to do I wonder if he's trying to do a soft medium strategy to obviously then don't do that. Jesus, really starting to put the load onto those rear tires. But in my opinion, I think the strategy here for him is a soft medium and then hope for rain at the end, enough to put in intermediate tires. Because I'm guessing he is thinking kind of on a strategy where it's going to rain, but it's going to rain really late on. So those on the medium tires would have had to pit onto the hard tires at that point. I think he's looking basically for the perfect time here to strike, but whether that will work, it'll take some time to really know. But the medium tires only really last around 15 laps, if that. So I'm very intrigued to see what sort of strategy M-Shot goes into this race.
I'm intrigued to see it all because there is a lot of relying on what the game tells you from the very limited weather information you get in qualifying, which is what it's like at the start of the race, 20 minutes in and 45 minutes in. You do then get the 6 or 7 windows of weather, but in my F11 race, it said it was going to rain about halfway through the race. I think it started on lap 4 or lap 5. It's not always the most accurate. So you always, it's like real life. The weather forecast doesn't always get it right every single time. M-Shot will be on pole position though. Simon, who has had a podium earlier on this season on the street circuit as well at Monaco, he is going to be in second place after getting up there on the medium tyres. So whereas we're saying M-Shot's going for a soft medium, he might just think about the medium soft strategy. And there is the qualifying order. M-Shot on pole position by 0.6 of a second from Simon. I'll be surprised if we see a bigger gap than that all season. Lakitu is third. Alpha Fars making it an all-Renault second row of the grid. Louis in fifth. The 2 racing points of Lars and Cornet are 6th and 7th. Gonainen is 8th. Sevvet 9th on the soft tyres. Not an ideal time from him. Black Phoenix is in 10th place. He'll have a fresh set of tyres, as will Joey, Ginger, Benny and Shapalele. It's going to be intriguing to see the different way all the drivers go about this race.
Yeah, it really will. I reckon we will see all compounds starting the day off. Obviously, we'll see the soft and medium tyres, we know that. But I reckon we will see the hard tyres from those like Black Phoenix, for example. And it says rain at the end of the race. Again, as you've just stated, it's not always reliable. And sometimes they could get rain much earlier or much later than expected. Because I believe in some races, you sometimes even get rain on like the final 2 laps or something. So it's too late to actually make a pit stop at that point. So the strategy just doesn't work and it ruins everyone's race, or people who, you know, took the gamble, as you may want to put it. So really, it is a bit of a gamble, really, because it could never come on the final lap, or it could come mid-race, and at that point, you've made your pit stop. There's people who are on the hard tyres not made their pit stop because they're able to come into the pits without a pit stop, and then they'll be leading the race. So this race could really be turning on its head. And do not look at the pole position leader and the leader into the first corner, for example, M-Shot. Do not take a look at him and think, oh, this race is done, because if there is rain in the end, it can come at any point. So M-Shot just needs to watch out for that one, and whether it will come late enough that everyone would have made a pit stop, we'll have to wait and see.
Yes, we will. And also, I've had it say before where it says light rain towards the end of the race, and the rain has been so light that even 10-15 minutes after it started, you've never quite got to the point of the intermediate tyres. There's always a bit of gambling going on, and it's always a very tricky circuit at Singapore. First used in 2008, 5.063 kilometres, 3.146 miles, 23 turns with 3 DRS zones to try and help the drivers overtake. A proper street circuit, this one. Those are the tyres that everyone has gone for. We knew that M-Shot and Sevvet would be on the softs. We knew everyone between them was on the mediums. Everyone who had a fresh tyre choice, only Shapalele going for the mediums. Black Phoenix, Joey, Ginger and Benny going for the hard tyres. They're going to have to play the long game and wait as long as possible, and probably hope that there's no early safety cars that might help some of those in front of them get rid of their soft tyres.
That's actually a fair point, and this is a track where safety cars is almost inevitable at some points, because pretty much this is the track where, just like Monaco, it's very difficult to keep out of the barriers. In fact, I would probably say in some cases this track is more demanding than Monaco. It does require a lot of patience, Luckily, the race is not full wet because that will require so much patience and concentration from the drivers through such corners. That tricky part through Sector 2, coming under the bridge and everything like that. The Singapore Sling, as it was called, but I believe it's no longer that because it's not really any longer a sling, as for say. And well, I think that tricky section, turn 10 through to turn 13, that's going to be very, very tight through there. And I think we will see a lot of good racing tonight. And again, a lot of unpredictability in for play. There's rain on the way, but will it strike or when will it strike is the question.
Yes, when will it strike? As you said, Sam, it is a test of endurance, physical and mental around here. Quite often, if you see rain, if you see safety cars, even in a 50% race, you're pushing over the 1 hour mark for the race time. 713 corners is how many the drivers have got to negotiate over the 31 laps, and I believe that is possibly the highest on the calendar. M-Short, though, with the view everyone wants on pole position, but how will he do? Starting on the soft tyres. We won't have too long to find out then. The lights are coming on to get round 8 of this PSGL season underway. We've got 5 lights and they're off. What are the starts like? You'd expect M-Short to be able to get a better start on those soft tyres, but Simon has had a fantastic getaway then into turn 1, and he's in the lead of this race. The Alfa Romeo has got the lead. Lakitu trying to get down the inside of his title rival. Lakitu's teammate Alpha Faz facing the wrong way at turn 3. He's managed to get back on circuit though. Seb Vett battling with Black Phoenix, but a perfect start from Simon. He's in the lead. M-Short is second. Lakitu in third. He'll be all over the back of his title rival. He knows he's got to start beating him now. Otherwise, it's going to start going out of his hands. Gunnar Nainen trying to get ahead of Cornet. Both of the racing points obviously moving up a place in the early stages thanks to the spin of Alpha Faz. Black Phoenix on those hard tyres. They're not holding him up whatsoever as he gets his way past Seb Vett into turn 8 there. Black Phoenix now just running a bit wide out of 9, as you would expect with the harder tyres. He's going to struggle, especially in the first couple of laps compared to those on the softs, and probably for the first 10 laps compared to those on the medium tyres. Chapelele's had a good start up into 11th using those extra grip on the mediums, and he's going to send one down the inside of Seb Vett here, who's gone really wide. Chapelele into the points on a fresh set of mediums, so watch out for him in these early stages. Seb Vett trying to have a fight back as we start the third sector of the lap, not able to do anything at this moment in time. I think everyone's got through without any damage as they now go through this twisty final sector for the first time. On board with Simon going underneath the grandstand. As I said in qualifying, watch out for that wall on the right hand side as you go underneath there. If someone else clips it, it's very easy for that wall to just jut out ever so slightly and catch you by surprise next time around. But it's Simon in the lead of this race. He got a fantastic getaway off the line, even though logic says M-Short on the soft tyres would have had the better start.
Well, yeah, logic, but this track is terrible. Like I said, after 4 laps alone, these soft tyres are probably on the same level as the medium. So these medium tyres by now are probably even a bit better than perhaps the soft tyres. So the choice from M-Short to get that pole position may have come to bite him in the backside, because Simon's obviously got a really good start on those medium tyres, and I can't see M-Short really clawing back because those soft tyres are basically going to be done on lap 3, 4 or 5 or something, and the pits are going to be very early as well. So this strategy has kind of backfired for now, but I'm just very intrigued to see when he makes his stop, what tyres it will be on, and perhaps what risks he will take, because he will be at the back of the grid. However, he'll have a lot of clean air when he is at the back of the grid.
Yes, he will indeed. Of course, if the rain, if it is coming, if it comes right at the end of the race, we're talking past lap 25, is he going to be able to even get a set of mediums towards that point? Is he going to have to put a set of hards on or commit to making another pit stop? Chapelele is absolutely flying at the start of this race. He's gone up 6 positions. One of them was obviously due to Alpha Faz having his incident, but he's by far the biggest winner of these first few laps, as Faz is obviously the biggest loser, but thankfully was able to get away unscathed. And we know Chapelele has always got good pace. He is a quick driver. His problem is consistency. He's only scored points twice all season, a 5th in France and a podium at the Italian Grand Prix. We've seen him at the top of the order so many times. He got a pole position in Britain. He set the fastest lap. Let's see what he can do for the remainder of this race. DRS enabled this time around, and M-Short just sticking within the DRS range of Simon. top 4 drivers do seem pretty spread out though, all around 7-8 tenths of a second at the moment.
Yeah, this is his track for you, though. Very, very spread out. This track does seem to happen. This does seem to happen for drivers really around this track. And again, this isn't a track that really feasts the action on track, which is kind of surprising because in real life, yes, the race isn't so great. Let's be real here. But it is a track that does sometimes encourage close battling at points. However, because these cars are equal, perhaps it's a different sort of thing to talk about. Of course, only really relies on the driver's ability and their ability to set up the car as well. But yeah, it's quite spacious out there, and I'm going to say I'm unsurprised really, because usually Singapore races are usually quite spread out. But I think really at the moment Chapalele is on the hunt. He has now gained so much time on Gunanainen, we could be seeing another overtake from him. And although there isn't too much actually going on out front, and I do expect M-Shot to drop back out of the DRS point very soon of Simon, in fact probably now he will do, or he'll just about cling on to it. It's going to be very, very close. But Chapalele, he's looking very good. The only thing denying him perhaps for a potential overtake very soon is just the DRS train, which should become a little bit more separate soon, because a simple mistake which is possible around this track will change the frame. As Seb Bet is the first of it, and that exactly explains my point. Only 3 laps on those soft tyres in the race, and he's already pitted. And that just shows how poor those soft tyres do become very quickly.
Yeah, he's already had enough of the soft tyres going on to the hard, so that does tend to suggest if we are going to get some rain in this race, it's definitely going to be in the very latter stages of it. Alpha Faz, another overtake then into turn 7. He's done that 2 laps in a row. Last time it was Benny, this time it was Ginger, the Renault, on his recovery, using those mediums to get himself up into 11th place. What I am finding interesting at the front of the field is it's Lakitu's actually dropped outside of DRS range of M-Shot. You'd expect the Renault to be all over the back of his title rival just because of the tyre advantage. At this moment in time, it looks like he just simply can't keep up with the front 2.
I wonder if he's just made a simple mistake or something, and that's cost him that. Obviously, M-Shot has the aid of the DRS from Simon, and I'm actually surprised Simon hasn't gotten away from M-Shot. Through this section, it looks rather obvious who's the quicker driver here, and it's Simon. I'm wondering if M-Shot will pick this lap, and Lakitu's now back in, and I think this is the point where now the softs in that third sector, because of the 90-degree corners, I believe the softs will go off much quicker, and M-Shot's actually staying out. Now he's out of the DRS. I was surprised he didn't come into the pits, but he's able to go one more lap, and I guess this gives Lakitu a good opportunity to really, really pile the pressure on M-Shot. And look how much he's closing through the first 3 corners. He's now very close and probably looking to potentially look at an overtake here. I don't think he'll be too desperate. He does put the overtake on, but he won't be too desperate for now. He knows that M-Shot is pitting, well, should be pitting at the end of this lap, but he's getting closer and closer. And I think he'll just wait until after the turn 13 and see if he can get him on that straight.
Yes, maybe he should have took a leaf out of his teammates, but who again has done a move there into that left-hander at the end of the DRS straight. That is now Alpha Faz up into 10th place. He's enjoying himself at this moment in time, despite that spin earlier on. And you said Lakitu shouldn't be that desperate. I tend to think that he should have been, because you can see now he's 2.5 seconds behind Simon all of a sudden. That gap is really extending. Doesn't get the greatest exit out of that hairpin. If anything, gets a bit of wheel spin. He's now going to have to stick behind M-Shot for this entire final sector, and that could easily lose him another second by the time the McLaren driver comes into the pits, if we are assuming that he is coming in this lap. And judging by the amount of pace that he is losing at the moment, I think that is a pretty safe assumption to make. But it is still Simon in the lead from M-Shot, Lakitu, Louis, Lars, Connie, Gunanainen, Chapalele, Joey, Alpha Faz, and then Black Phoenix, Ginger, Benny Traeger, and Seb Vet, who's the only driver so far to have made a pit stop. M-Shot carrying on. I think he's trying to stretch these softs long enough that he can put the mediums on until the rain comes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think that may actually be the strategy going forward for M-Shot. But I wonder if also, because I did also, it looks like he's coming in this lap looking at his telemetry icon, but really, I'm just wondering if M Short perhaps is just doing this to really annoy Lakitu, because not only when he does go into the pits finally, will Lakitu have almost a 3 second, if not a 3 second gap between him and Simon. Perhaps it closes Louis in as well. Louis is 6 tenths behind, and because Lakitu then will have the then won't have the DRS past turn 4. Louis is probably going to be looking to maybe launch an attack soon. So I think this is perhaps M Short's plan. And you talked about how he was able to keep up for some time with Simon and everything. If you look also on his telemetry thing, the fuel tank suggests that he's actually running less fuel than obviously the normal amount, which does suggest he's underfueled the car quite a bit. So I wonder if he's just done that to protect himself on the straights here, which is working. However, through the corners, you can definitely see the difference in pace those soft tyres have to the mediums now, and he's locking up every corner as well. So yeah, M Short's just going to stick ahead, and yeah, this is a huge opportunity for Louis behind him, and maybe Louis can exploit Lakitu a little bit off the when M Short finally comes in. And look at him, he's backing Lakitu up almost here, but look at Louis. Louis is struggling through the corners, and M Short's carrying on. I don't know what he's doing. He's carrying on, and he's just holding up Lakitu here at this point.
Yeah, he is indeed. Gonanainen's actually coming to the pits there. Whether he's just got fed up of being stuck in the traffic or he's got some damage, but he's managed to go less on the medium tyres than what we saw M Short do on a set of softs. This is very intriguing from the Alfa Romeo driver. No front wing change, hard tyres going on, so this should still get him out though, ahead of Seb Vettel. Lakitu is right underneath M Short then this time around, and surely now we'll see the McLaren driver coming to the pits. Down the inside goes Lakitu. The German is now up into second place, and Alfa Faz making some moves as well. He's into 8th. Benny and Ginger also swapping around. The solo Ferrari, who got his first points in a while, the last time out at the Russian Grand Prix, gets himself up into 11th place. And now Louis is probably thinking, right, please M Short, either pit this lap or just let me buy you into this next DRS zone. Otherwise, I'm going to lose all that time, and then this hasn't worked out too terribly for Lakitu.
No, it hasn't probably worked out too terribly for him, because it's already a second gap between him. I think Louis is now going to be the one pretty annoyed as he sends it down the inside of this corner to remove that deficit, and he'll be looking to push now. Now it's Lars who's going to be stuck behind and perhaps thinking, let me pass, but I think this is the lap that we will see Lakitu pit finally in this race. I cannot see him staying out another lap.
Apologies, we do seem to have lost Sam all of a sudden. M Short, yeah, is coming into the pits this lap. Lars will be so glad for that. Louis got himself another penalty. He's on 6 seconds at the moment, so he's really starting to push. M Short, where will he come out then on track? Should still be well clear of Gonanainen. He's actually putting a set of the hard tyres on, so I wonder if he thinks the rain isn't going to be too heavy towards the end, and he might be able to just survive on those tyres right until the end of the race. As Cornet's just given the wall a slight tap there, and that has given Chapelele a fantastic run along Raffles Boulevard. He's going to have to go the long way round though at turn 7. Can he make it all the way around the outside? He's been shoved off track there slightly by Cornet, and I'm not sure whether the game will allow him to keep that position. He'll have definitely got a warning, but it does seem as though Chapelele has been able to work himself up into 5th. Out in the lead though now, Simon. He must be feeling fantastic. We're only on lap 8. He's already got a 5-second lead.
Yeah, he'll be looking very, very confident at the moment, and quite comfortable as well. He's just sitting here, I'm surprised he's just sitting here. He's got 38%. That's for the ERS, by the way. I'm stumbling on my words, but I'm surprised he hasn't saved his ERS more, and he's only got 40%. I was expecting him to have at least around 60% by now, because he's not really had to use it, or he shouldn't really need to use it at the moment. He's out in the lead. He's far away. I cannot see M Short making a 5-second, well, actually probably like a 3-second drawback to Simon, when Simon does obviously eventually pit him. I don't really know. It kind of baffles me, to be honest, as he will just continue on those medium tyres, and I don't think it's long till these guys pit either. I wouldn't be surprised if these guys pit around lap 13 times, so 4 or 5 lap times, and laps time. And I wonder if Simon will just try to get the most out of these mediums and then just come in the pits for hard tyres. There's Cornet's in the pits. I'm not sure where he's going to come out. It looks like 11th place, so I think Cornet's actually. Hold on. He's actually jumped M Short, I think. This is going to be quite close. No, M Short beats him out just about though. So Cornet's just behind, and I don't think this has really worked for M Short too well, as he is behind Gonainen, and I believe Gonainen's going to the end. Yes, Gonainen's got wing damage, but this is a big loss for M Short, and I don't know where he's really lost his time, but perhaps that just shows how bad those soft tyres were, because Gonainen pitted a lap earlier and has got away with it.
Yes, it has indeed. It's worked for Gonainen. It's gained him a lot of time, which shows how much M Short was losing. He's still 1.5 seconds ahead of the McLaren at the moment. Cornet in the DRS as well of M Short, so that might make it a bit tougher for the McLaren. He might have to start doing some defending. Is this just a bit of a chink in the order? Has member strategies had to be a bit more difficult, as it quite often is at the Singapore circuit? Is it going to work out for M Short? We thought at France he didn't really have a chance of winning the race with all the different tyre strategies that ended up happening there, and we were proven wrong. We may well be proven wrong tonight. We've had a pretty clean Singapore Grand Prix so far, as Louis now comes into the pits, and that is going to promote most of the field up another few positions. So we'll see where Louis actually comes out relative to Gonainen, because he was probably only about 1.5 seconds ahead of M Short when the McLaren driver pitted, which is exactly how far the Alfa Romeo is ahead now.
Yeah, that was quite a really good strategy from Gonainen. And look how far Louis is ahead. He's actually going to be beating both these out. It looks like Gonainen is going to be very close to him, but I think Louis will have him covered. That's going to be very, very close into the corner. They're going to be side by side through it, but I do think Louis, which is on the medium tyres, may I add, I believe he was on the medium tyres before, so that's a confirmed 2-stop. Perhaps he's had a look on the radio, and Goose Jeff has turned around and told him that the rain is in 10 minutes or something. Perhaps that's what it suggests. But now M Shot's now right on the back of Gonainen, but that's lost them 2 positions, and Louis is going to be quicker than M Short now, so it really all just depends on when or if the rain does come for Louis. And if it doesn't come, or if it doesn't come significantly enough, then his race is just completely ruined. So a huge, bold strategy Louis has gone for there onto the medium tyres.
Yeah, Louis really needs rain in the next 20 minutes. Anything after lap 26, 27 is going to be absolutely useless for the Red Bull driver at the moment, because it probably won't rain hard enough to make a set of intermediates necessary, and he might struggle with the tyre wear on the mediums, but it was absolutely crucial that he managed to get his way ahead of Gonainen there. He did not want to be stuck behind the Alfa Romeo driver on what is a slower set of the hard tyres as Lakitu. He now comes into the pits, perhaps reacting to Louis, also going for a set of the medium tyres. We're already starting to see some strategy intrigue between the different drivers, Lakitu and Louis, both forcing themselves onto a 2-stop strategy, as Cornet now gets a time penalty for multiple warnings, probably just losing it a bit in the dirty air. And has this worked out for Louis? Is the undercut going to work? There is your answer. He's quite a bit ahead of Lakitu, about 1 second, and you can just see there Louis has pulled out 3 seconds in 1 lap on Gonainen. That is how big the tyre deltas are around this track.
Yeah, and I think that's rather impressive from Louis, but look how much ERS he's got left. 2%, 1%, basically nothing left. So really, he's probably used all that to get so far ahead, and actually so far ahead of Lakitu. In fact, as well, he's got quite a clear distance, and he's doing what he needs to do since he has 6 seconds of time penalties. But I don't think this is really going to benefit him too much because of those time penalties. But that's rather interesting to me. Louis and Lakitu basically confirming they will be doing a 2-stop strategy, which does, in belief for them, mean that they will that there will be rain coming, and likely will be coming. In terms of them, on their estimates, in the next 10 minutes, I suppose, because why else would they go on to the mediums again?
Yeah, it would indeed. Larsen now coming out on circuit. We just had a yellow flag there all of a sudden. I'm not sure whether that was... has Simon had a slight mistake somewhere? Because that gap has shrunk at the top of the order. It was 7 or 8 seconds about 20 seconds ago. It's now down to 3.5 seconds. So I wonder if Simon's had a big moment coming through the final corner and has somehow managed to get away without any major damage, because Shapalele has really caught up to the back of him. This is disastrous news for him. It's good news for Louis, who's currently now in 7th place. He's the leader of those on the pit stops, but Louis has got 6 seconds of penalties. Lakitu, who is behind him, has no penalties at the moment, and M. Short and Cornet still stuck behind Gonanen. Lars and Faz have both pitted as well. They've come out onto a set of hard tyres, so they're obviously hoping that it stays dry towards the end of the race. But with the pace Louis got at the moment, you wouldn't be surprised if he manages to build a pit stop gap, even if the rain doesn't come, and then just put on a set of softs and be so supreme at the end.
Yeah, well, Lakitu was actually closed in on Louis, so really it's just the pace of those mediums compared to the hard tyres, which really for both of them is quite a good thing. And look at Shapalele! He's already on the back of Simon. Simon's had some weird issue, strange issue, and Shapalele goes round the outside. Oh, I don't know how to verdict that. I don't think that was good from Simon. He's just left him in the barrier there, squeezed him to the outside. Shapalele's got wing damage now, so another twist in this race. But for me, Simon, I don't know what he was doing. He's just pushed Shapalele to the outside and into the wall, give him no space. Yes, he was entitled to the line, I get that, but at the end of the day, you can't just push someone into the barriers like that. And Simon does pit now. Shapalele, you can easily see by the turn in there, he's got a bit more wing damage than perhaps he would have thought, struggling through the corners. And who does this help more than anyone? Joey, Black Phoenix, and Benny. It's particularly Black Phoenix and Benny, because Joey has that penalty.
Yes, it does indeed. So, interesting defending, I think it's fair to say, from Simon. I'm not quite sure what the issue is, because it didn't look like he had major wing damage, but he still lost about 3 or 4 seconds to Shapalele on that lap, even after the mistake had been made. So whether his tyres were just almost completely cooked, which you wouldn't quite expect from a set of the mediums. You wouldn't expect them to be fantastic, but you'd thought they'd have a bit more life in them. Shapalele, I think you're right. I don't think he realised how much wing damage he actually had, because he's understeering so much at this moment in time. You can see he's even pulling over to the left-hand side of the track there to let Joey through. I'm not sure Black Phoenix will be too over-enamoured with Shapalele's decision there, but he's got no grip whatsoever. Lakitu set the fastest lap of the race last time around, and I think we're going to see maybe one of the most straightforward overtakes we've seen for a long time. And I'm saying that Shapalele does get a fantastic exit coming out of that hairpin just after the Anderson Bridge, and Black Phoenix is going to have to wait going into turn 14. I mean, I can see why Shapalele went for the move. He had so much more pace as Louis. He's now going to try and go around the outside of Ginger, and that's how you make the move stick, and that's how you treat another driver on the outside of you. You've got to give them a car's width, especially if they're already alongside you. Ginger also with the front wing damage as well, so hopefully he won't get affected too much by the double stack. I imagine he's just going to try and carry on that little bit longer. And this is bad news for Lakitu, because he's been stuck behind Ginger, and this might just drop him outside of DRS range of Louis. The Shapalele has, I believe... No, he's not coming to the pits. He's trying to stay out on track, but Black Phoenix and Benny have now both got ahead of him. Another race where things were looking promising for Shapalele, and it's just not quite worked out.
Karen, this time it probably was down to his own genuine mistake, really. And well, not only is he probably praying for the rain right now, because obviously I'm guessing this is what he's doing, because otherwise I'm sure he would have pitted. He's just waiting for the rain to come down so he can make that opportunity in that jump. But what a really poor day it has been for AlphaTauri again. And again, not even their faults really. Ginger's got wing damage from somewhere, don't know where he's got it from. Shapalele's got wing damage from we know why, and yeah, it's just not really been their day again for AlphaTauri. And you got to think they could have had a 1-2 in Britain. They were looking quite good for it earlier on in the season, but a simple safety car blunder when neither of them pit. I was expecting at least one of them to pit, but neither of them pit, completely destroyed their race at the end. And well, it just looks like that again. If the rain doesn't come down, Shapalele does have to pit, and Ginger with that damage could be in trouble with Gonanen eventually, because this is not a damage-friendly track like other tracks such as Austria, for example. There is a lot of tight corners which you have to really depend on your aero actual get round.
Yes, indeed. I think you can sum up AlphaTauri's season. They got 14 points at the French Grand Prix, through Chapelele finishing 4th and Ginger finishing 5th. In the other 6 Grand Prix we've had before tonight, they've managed a total of 16 points, so nearly half of their points came from the Paul Ricard circuit. For one reason or another, the 2 FRL drivers, it's just not worked for them at AlphaTauri. Interestingly, look at Louis. He is now only about 7 seconds, off the lead of this race. It looks like this medium strategy, even if it doesn't rain towards the end of the race, it might still work out.
Yeah, and I'm very intrigued to see what it does, because the soft tyres aren't great as Seb Vet retires to the pit lane. If it does rain very late, and if there is no need to pit again for Louis, obviously, if there is no need to pit again onto the intermediates, it's a bit of a problem really, because the two-stop doesn't really work too well around this track because of how long it is, as he looks to go on the inside of Chapelele. I would expect Chapelele just to give him the position. Doesn't do the same to Lakitu. He lets Lakitu sit behind, but he's going to keep progressing back, I'm afraid. And unfortunately for him, it looks like any chances of a potential race win have kind of gone out the window, and that's such a shame again for the AlphaTauri driver. And yeah, well, he's going to be dropping down the field, going to be dropping well down the field, and like I said, just a desperate pray for rain at this point for him. And well, for Lakitu and Louis, they do need to make a pit stop again, but you're right, they are very, very close.
Oh, sorry to interrupt, Sam. Simon's gone down the inside of Cornet there. He was definitely all 4 wheels off the track there. I think that was at the turn, turn 16? I think Cornet's dropping a long way down the order. Has he picked up some wing damage in all of this? Doesn't look like he's got any major wing damage, but I did just see Lars getting ahead of his teammate, and whether that's just ruined Cornet's momentum, he's just dropped down the order. Back to the front of the race though, Joey in the lead, lap 16, so 16 laps to go, including this one, 2.5 seconds ahead of Black Phoenix, who maybe, if we see rain very shortly, maybe Black Phoenix looking good for another podium and possibly even a victory. Benny is in 3rd place. Lakitu and Louis, they are now 5.6 and 6.5 seconds off the lead respectively, and with no penalties, and M Short, well, I was about to say down in 9th place. He's in 8th very briefly. Whether he'll hold on to this position, we'll have to wait and see. Gunnar not really able to hold it off round the outside there, so M Short is up into 8th place. This is an opportunity for Lakitu, if he keeps it clean, to really gain some big points in the championship.
Yeah, well, the win might be a little bit difficult from this point, because if you look on board, the heavens have opened. We've got rain in this race, so for the hard-tire drivers, this strategy just may have worked a treat, particularly for Black Phoenix. For Benny, it just depends on whether he can defend from Louis at this point. But it seems to have worked an absolute treat, and speaking about that, he's just picked up a penalty, which is not great. So was Lakitu. So right now, Black Phoenix is in a really, really good state to win this race right now. Now, if it does rain hard enough, because right now it doesn't look like it's raining enough to really cause any sort of bother. But also Joey, 2.3 seconds clear. If he could just make the gap a little bit bigger, he could be considered quite a big favourite for the race win here. And not gonna lie, it's kind of a surprise, because although Joey's had good performances this season, he's not had any sort of outstanding performances, and well, he hasn't had a podium yet. So what way to seal your first? Get a podium by winning the race. As Simon retires, and he retires actually in the pit lane, which is kind of surprising me. I was expecting him to perhaps stick with this one and perhaps make an advantage on any mistakes from drivers, but it is what it is, and he's retired in the pits.
Yeah, I do wonder if he's picked up any damage and he's just decided to retire. It now makes a lot of sense why Chapelele and Ginger decided to stay out on track. They were thinking, I'm going to lose less with this broken front wing than I am making a pit stop around here. If they can just hold on long enough for the intermediates, they might be some of the first drivers to pit for intermediates, especially Chapelele. The older tyres and harder tyres tend to struggle more in these wet conditions. So Lakitu and Louis are going to be laughing at this moment in time. A 4th and 5th position on medium tyres that will be able to retain their heat a lot. Chapelele's 16-lap-old mediums are going to be like ice, as are some of these older hard tyres. And there you can see Louis trying to go all the way round the outside of Benny here. Has he been able to hold on to that position? Needs to stay round the outside for the next turn into turn 16. Goes a bit deep, doesn't make any difference. He has managed to get that move done on Lakitu. is just going to have to stay behind. Gonanainen and Lars are going for a similar move here. And Faz is going to try and get himself involved. Needs to be careful that you don't get a front wing wiped off. That's a difficult move to pull off, even in the dry when the track is getting a bit greasy. It is so much more difficult. And the leaders, I mean, unsurprisingly, deciding to stay out for now. I wonder if any of the AlphaTauri drivers might think if it's wet enough, but we're not really seeing any spray at the moment. We're still at least a lap away from intermediates.
Oh yeah, definitely. But I think the interesting thing is how long this track is, and of course, in the wetter conditions, it's going to be a longer lap than what it is usual. Just take a look at the sector times of the sector split at the end here. How much time did they lose? Half a second through the first sector alone. Shouldn't be too much for intermediate conditions, so it doesn't look like it's raining that hard, and perhaps for Chapelele, who does actually pit off to the intermediates, this could be a real big saver or a breaker really for him, because if it does rain hard enough, or if it is intermediate condition worthy, Chapelele could have just done the masterclass of the race, or alternatively, it's nowhere near these conditions, and the tyres heat up, and in the end of the day, Chapelele loses loads of time. So really interesting to track him, but already it's not looking quite strong from the AlphaTauri driver, and we'll just have to wait and see, because it doesn't look like conditions that would convince me to pit this lap onto the Inters. So it'll take some time, and well, we'll just have to wait and see really, because it's going to be very close for Chapelele.
Yeah, I think even now maybe you wouldn't say it is intermediate conditions, but like you said, Sam, lap so long around here that maybe it's worth pitting about half a minute before you think it's ready, just so you don't get completely caught out. Alpha Faz has managed to get his way ahead of Cornet in the racing point, so he's down into 10th. He looks to have struggled a bit more with these intermediate conditions, and yeah, Chapelele is losing half a second to a second here every corner he's going round. It is definitely not ready for the intermediate tyres yet, and that gamble, that broken front wing, hasn't paid off, and I'll be very surprised if he ends up picking up any points from this race unless we see a couple of more retirements. Joey in the lead then, Black Phoenix in second, Louis is third, Lakitu in fourth. He's right on the back of Louis here, and he's got a bit more VRS, and I think it's just a bit too damp to maybe think of going to that move. Gonanainen has retired from the session in the pit lane, so maybe Chapelele is going to get some points, because we only need one more retirement for him to be up there. He's currently in 11th place. M-Short's managed to get his way ahead of Ginger. Lars has got ahead as well, and Lars is going to try and make it 2 for 1. Wasn't really far enough alongside there to make that move work. Gets away without any damage. Alpha Faz in the background. It's all getting very interesting now with the different tyres everyone is on. Ginger, Joey, Benny and Black Phoenix, you'd be thinking of really struggling at this moment just to keep it pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, and Chapelele, I think it was interesting to see how he is working. He's not working too well. He's still sliding back a little bit. He's lost around a second of time in this, so it's definitely not the intermediate conditions, but it's definitely looking a little bit more treacherous out there. I wonder if we're going to take one more lap on these hard tyres or medium tyres, and then we'll have the crossover point. But in my opinion, it's just not there yet. I think we will have to wait a little bit longer for it. Joey doesn't pit, so that's unsurprising. And yeah, the leaders opt not to pit. I wouldn't be surprised if someone really does gamble it, such as M-Short and below, since they are quite far behind now. We'll just have to wait and see what anyone does. Does anyone take the gamble? No. Oh, Ginger takes the gamble. This is very interesting. Then Ginger into the pits then, and well, both AlphaTauris are going for it. He's got a 5-second penalty in the pit lane. That's disrupted momentum completely. Chapelele's in the wall. We've got a VSC now because of that. And, well, the VSC has helped Ginger. I don't want to say Crashgate has returned, but it's definitely helped Ginger on the intermediate tyres, I suppose, now. But the problem is, it's just not ready, is it?
It's nowhere near ready. I mean, last lap, Louis lost about 6.5 seconds on the slick tyres, which when you consider how many corners are on this track and how long it is, yes, it's nowhere near what they'd be doing in optimal conditions, but he is being held up behind another car. He's put some wear on his tyres anyway. That probably accounts for at least a second or two of that. So it's just nowhere near ready. DRS is being re-enabled, so that's the biggest sign. If DRS is enabled, you've got to say it's ready for the slick tyres. Chapelele, I think, is off again, and I'm very lucky, I think, to be carrying on this circuit. He's going to be nearly a lap down from some of the others. In fact, he's going to have to pit. He is going to be a lap down. There's no nearly about it. And Louis and Lakitu just not able to get ahead of Black Phoenix, and this is helping Black Phoenix out. It's helping all those on the hard tyres further down the order out, and it's helping Joey out, who is still leading this race. And if anything, the rain doesn't look as bad on my screen. Chapalele has retired from the session, so we are down to 10 drivers. The rain doesn't look as bad on my screen as it did a lap before. We might be able to get away with just slick tyres all the way around here.
Well. Louis and Lakitu have come into the pit lane. This is intriguing because they're on the medium tyres, so they were expected to pit again, and they're both going for intermediates. Has Ginger just performed the greatest strategy recovery of all time or something here? And again, we do have to question what about what happened and everything. But anyway, this is rather interesting now because this is very make or break. And I say that, but Ginger's miles behind these two, Louis and Lakitu, and I didn't realise how much he actually lost in terms of time. But this is really going to be a huge strategy blunder, or it's going to be a huge strategy success. This is going to be 50-50. This is going to be a long ride to the line, and I wonder who on earth is going to win this race.
Yeah, he does look to be understeering still quite a bit through some of these corners, so we'll have to see what sort of times all these drivers are doing in the different sectors. I mean, Ginger's probably going to be the best one to have a look at, just because he's managed to do quite a few laps already on these intermediate tyres, but we're around the crossover point at this moment in time, and maybe Louis and Lakitu were thinking, we've got a pit anyway, we might as well come into the pits, but they're definitely not gaining loads of time. In fact, if anything, they are still losing a couple of attempts, nowhere near as much as what Chapalele was losing earlier. Let's not forget that. The track is obviously a lot wetter than it was. You haven't got the sun, for example, that burns off a lot of the water at some other circuits, so things are probably still good enough for the slick tyres at this moment in time. As we have a look at who has pitted, I can't believe I'm saying this, but let's say it doesn't rain hard enough for us to go on to intermediate tyres. That would put M-Short in the net lead of the race.
Yeah, and Joey's definitely not considering at the moment. Perhaps there's a little bit of an anxious sort of feeling going on for the Mercedes driver, etc. He's still got that penalty. Benny comes into the pits. This is going to be on for the Inters, so the Inters are definitely favourable. They're definitely considered and considerable for drivers, obviously. But how good are they is such a difficult one to really debate right now. Lars has come into the pits for Inters. 2 seconds lost for Joey in the first sector alone compared to his fastest lap. So really, we may have just seen the crossover point. And interestingly, all those that have pitted have got penalties. So in terms of who we win in this race, it's very bizarre at the moment. Joey's losing loads of time. I'm assuming it's the same for all the drivers on the hard tyres right now. And, well, Benny could be leading this race by the end of this and, well, may end up winning the whole thing. So it's very tight. And because of the penalties, it just makes things more unpredictable.
Yes, the last lap around, Alpha Faz did a 1:47, Ginger did a 1:53. So the fresher slick tyres are still holding on. Let's not forget Joey has put a lot more life into his than Alpha Faz. In fact, the Renault's on the freshest of the hard tyres. So he's not in a bad situation at the moment. He could probably afford to go a lap or two longer than everyone else. And in fact, I'd say on this lap, Benny came out of the pits about 12.5 seconds behind Corley. He's still about 12.5 seconds behind, so maybe this is the crossover point. Maybe Benny has called it absolutely perfectly at this moment in time, and maybe now we are going to see a few more drivers coming to the pits, and there we go. Our race leader decides I've lasted long enough on these hard tyres, as does Black Phoenix, but they didn't have a choice. They had to come in at some point for something, as Ginger picks up a time penalty. And just looking this time around at Alpha Faz, yeah, he's already nearly at 1:47 by the time he gets to the pit lane. So this is the lap. Everyone coming in for a set of slick tyres, and Benny might not be in a bad situation. In fact, you know what? Black Phoenix and Joey, I think they're still going to come out far enough ahead of Benny. I think they're still going to be 1-2 at this moment in time. Benny is coming around turn 21 now. He's just around to come around 22 and 23, and yeah, the McLaren and the Mercedes are well clear of him. So Joey's still leading out on track. Black Phoenix is still in second position. Benny is in third now. Louis and Lakitu are fourth and fifth. Alpha Faz is in sixth position. Or is he going to be? Because we've got Lars coming blasting down the pit lane. He's going to come out right in between M Shaw and the Renault, but he's going to have a lot more temperature in his tyres, and he's going to know where the braking points are on these intermediate tyres. So don't be surprised if he starts flying his way past the Renault very shortly. Look at that, DRS is still active. The entire field's on intermediate tyres, but they've still got DRS.
It surely will be deactivated at the end of this lap. Perhaps it's just not intermediate conditions just about yet, but it's more favourable than ever to go on to them. I just want to mention what a disaster of a race it's really been for M Shaw. Down in 8th place, although he will get points, yes, but it's definitely not been the race he would have wanted. And we talked about this earlier, he could have done the soft-medium strategy, but I think really the rain has come down at such an awkward time and it's awkwardly taken a while to get there. I think we'll be looking in to see what he can do at the end of this race. And more interestingly, Joey's got a 2.9 second gap. He could still win this race, and he's doing brilliantly right now. And now he is 3 seconds clear, and now the DRS is disabled, so no more DRS trains. It's all relied on slipstream, and well, this is going to be a really entertaining finish because Black Phoenix, who's not got a penalty, has to just hang on inside that 3 second gap, or hope that Joey gets a penalty again.
Yeah, he's just got to... I think he was just over 3 seconds behind before the pit stop, so whether he was a bit more brave on the way in, whether anyone got held up in the pit, so that they were 1-2, so I can't see a situation where that would have really happened. Joey's still in the lead of this race, 3.1 seconds ahead of Black Phoenix. Benny now has Lakitu and Louis behind them, and I do think everyone had to come into the pits because they were all on really old hard tyres or really old medium tyres. Maybe if you had a fresh set of softs that can carry their temperature a lot easily, you might have been able to do one more lap and get away with it. Those hards and mediums really do struggle once it starts cooling down. Once you start getting the rain, there's not really any use in them damp conditions where DRS was still activated. What this does mean is it's a bit harder to overtake. Slipstream is fairly powerful around this circuit because it is such a high downforce track, comparable with Monaco, what we had earlier on in the season. So to overtake, if you can get in the slipstream, it's possible to get the move done, but are you really going to want to send one down the inside into turn 7, maybe into turn 14, without any DRS, and knowing that each lap you might just have to brake that 5 metres earlier because of the conditions?
Yeah, I don't even think any sort of overtake will be happening. I can see the only one happening is Lakitu, because Lakitu will be looking to desperately close the gap on M Shaw, and he's doing that obviously already, but he would prefer a little bit more, so we have another virtual safety car. Annoyingly not a safety car, because if it was a safety car that would have been fun and interesting, but no safety car today, it looks like. Only a virtual safety car, and only 9 runners left. So intriguingly, we're all going to see points here, and it's all going to be more than 1.
Yeah, everyone's guaranteed 2 points, and at the moment, who has got the fastest lap at the moment? Because whoever's got it now, it's fair to say has got it until the end. So that is Lakitu. He's picking himself a bonus point up as long as he finishes the race, as long as he doesn't get too carried away. I don't know whether Joey's got this VSC absolutely bang on at the moment, because he's pulled out to 5 seconds ahead of Black Phoenix at this moment in time. We know the deltas are a bit different, as you can see there, as pretty much proving my point. The deltas do change. Benny's got a drive-through penalty. Any chance he's got getting a podium has gone right out. He's got no chance now of getting a podium. He's going to find himself dropping down to around where Cornet is. So Lakitu looking good for a podium all of a sudden. Louis is in 5th. Alpha Faz, Komita and M Shaw. 6th, 7th and 8th for Faz, Lars and M Shaw. All without any penalties. So if they can close up to some of those in front, they've got a chance, because Louis has 9 seconds of penalties at the moment. Surely all Lakitu's got to do is keep it pointed in the right direction. He's getting onto the podium.
Yeah, Lakitu has had quite a strong race, let's be honest. He's not really had the worst of races or the best of races, but he's just kept it consistent. Nice, put his car in the right position. And yeah, like you said, surely now we'll be seeing him on the podium, unless Faz brings out some sort of superhuman sort of performance in this next 6 laps. Because let's not forget, Lakitu does have a penalty, Faz does not have a penalty. And if Faz can close the gap enough, which is again very unlikely, if he can close the gap enough, he could potentially be in the hunt for a podium. But I think the key, excuse me, the key to will just be thinking about the clean air once Benny is gone. Well, no, Benny has that drive-through now after the update allowed us to see the penalties. He'll just be sitting behind and just saying, you know, he's going to be out the way soon, and then I'm free to go. So for Lakitu, he's just going to really just sit there now, and hopefully he'll get his podium at the end of it.
Yeah, we'll have to see. We're hoping that Benny gets out of the way pretty soon. And oh, Benny nearly tapping the wall there. Coming through turn 18. He will not want to do that again. Did it with the rear, and the rears are quite sturdy, I think it's fair to say, on the F1 game. You don't really usually see someone's rear tyre flying off unless they've had a big accident. Benny in then to serve his drive-through penalty. This will probably put him down. Definitely behind M-Shot, maybe behind Cornet as well. So Lakitu is now third, Louis in fourth, Alpha Faz in fifth. Could get himself another podium if he can just catch up on his teammate by about 1.5 seconds. Lars is sixth. Lars doesn't seem to have the same pace in the wet as Faz at the moment, and M-Short, without that DRS, can't find a way past.
Yeah, and M-Short, I do reckon, will give Lars a little bit of a hassle soon. He's been sticking in around the same place for quite a while now, but again, really, I think Faz just has really good pace. He's closed in again on Louis, and Louis hasn't lost too much time to Lakitu. He's losing a bit of time, but not considerably enough to say that Lakitu is quicker than Faz, because Faz looks rather on it right now, and unsurprisingly as well, although his teammate is Lakitu, Faz is obviously going to be the driver who could be able to get a podium if he just gets in another second on Lakitu. He's literally not far away from a podium here, so of course he'll be pushing. And you know what? Again, another interesting storyline that we've got towards the end of this race. So a lot to really uncover, and still things that need to be sorted. Joey leads the way, and he's now looking set to take the victory, but for the podium, it's still very undecided.
I think I've got an idea of why Alpha Faz might be a bit quicker at the moment. He's only done 2 laps on these intermediate tyres. Lakitu and Louis have done 4 laps. 2 of those, we can say the track definitely wasn't ready for a set of the intermediate tyres. Have they just burnt them up early on, and the intermediates do wear at a slower rate? They shouldn't really have any problems getting them towards the end, but are they just suffering from the fact that they've got a bit more tyre wear? As Louis is coming into the pitch, has he got front wing damage, or has he already think, no, these intermediates are absolutely cooked after only 5 laps? I don't see why else he would come into the pits, because he's got no chance of setting a fastest lap. This is Louis into the pits on a set of intermediates, and now that promotes Lars and M-Short up a position that they were probably going to get on penalties anyway. But Alpha Faz can see where his teammate is. He can see that 3.5 seconds, and now Lakitu can see that as well and think, right, I've got to make sure I stay ahead of my teammate here to get that crucial extra 2 points in the championship.
Yeah, and Faz will be pushing. I think after last week he got a podium. I think he's now come back and redeemed himself. Obviously, last season in F2, he had a brilliant first half of the season, but in the end, it just never seemed to stay the same. He kind of fell back to the competition and ended up becoming just more of a midfield driver and less than the challenger to the title. This season at the start, he had a pretty poor start to the season, but he had a few weeks break, and I wonder if that's just been a little bit of a break just to catch up a little bit, and he's come back and he's looking already likely to get 2 podiums in a row. I would say looking likely to get a second podium, but he could get 2 podiums in a row, and he's looking very, very close. And Lakitu just needs to speed up that little bit more, because his teammate is definitely coming.
Yeah, and it is not only is Faz catching up to Lakitu, it is Lakitu just dropping back a 10th or 2 a lap at the moment from Black Phoenix. So it looks as though those on the slightly fresher intermediate tyres have just got a better pace at this moment in time. I'm not sure there's a lot Faz would be able to do. The exception to that rule seems to be Lars, who does seem to be really struggling on those. Whether he's picked up a minor bit of front wing damage at any point, I can't tell whether that's just the shape of the end plate on the Racing Point, or whether that is a bit of damage. But he's doing good enough to keep M-Shot behind him. And this, of course, means if we do see any of these top drivers pick up any more penalties, M-Shot and Lars are probably not going to be in range to catch any of them up. It's probably only Lakitu who would pick up another penalty that would help these guys out. It does look as though it is raining quite a lot harder at the moment. There is still a fairly dry line out on circuit. We've only got 4 laps to go. Can't see it getting wet enough to go to a set of the full wet tyres, but this is the closest battle out on track. With penalties, you've got a good battle going on for the lead and a good battle going on for third place at the moment. And if anything, Black Phoenix seems to have caught up ever so slightly. He's got back within half a second.
Yeah, I think that's rather interesting now, because if Black Phoenix can continue this pace, then Joey's on the threat again. And I wonder if Joey's just pushed his car so much in the last few laps that he's perhaps now starting to lose a little bit of that pace, because the tyres are starting to become a bit more warmer, a little bit more worse for wear. But it looks like he has picked it up a little bit again. But interestingly, Faz right on the edge now of where it would require Lakitu to speed up. And does he get within that 3-second gap? He's just off it there, and really is now starting to push a little bit more now. However, Lakitu definitely has a little bit more of the advantage in the ERS, but because of the wet conditions, you would suspect the ERS is quite easy to save up again. So perhaps this could be a little bit of a mistake from Lakitu, or Faz has just made a mistake by using all his ERS and then having none to play with at the end, while Lakitu has it all to play with.
Yes, I imagine in the dry conditions, some of these short, sharp blasts on the throttle, especially in Sector 3, you might think of using the ERS. You're probably not going to think of using it at the moment, but that is huge news for the lead of this race. Joey has managed to pick up another 3-second time penalty, so all Black Phoenix has got to do now is stay within 6 seconds of him. He's got 2 seconds in hand with 3 laps to go. That is assuming, of course, Black Phoenix doesn't pick up a penalty. Faz is pretty much hovering around that 3-second mark at the moment. I wonder if there is any communication. He's deciding maybe, or Lakitu's telling him, just stick behind, mate. I've got a championship to worry about at this moment in time. Let's not push. Let's not do anything stupid. We are going to get a 3-4 finish here. M-Short still can't get close enough. Still can't get close enough to Lars at this moment in time. The damage isn't going to be too bad in the championship. If we say Lakitu's going to finish in 3rd place with the fastest lap, he would pull back 6 points on M-Short, so it'd go to 17 points. Still more than a race win, but still very doable with 4 races to go.
Yeah, and Joey will be absolutely kicking himself after that. With only 3 laps left to go, he's now got to somehow find a gap of almost 2 seconds here, which is surely impossible to do. It's not impossible, but we talked about how close this grid is, and Black Phoenix hasn't exactly been losing time to Joey. He's just not been gaining time to Joey. So really all he's got to do now is keep that consistent pace, and he's got it in the end. But Joey's picking up the pace. He knows how desperate this is now, because he's so close to a win. No matter what happens, he's getting a podium, but the win Black Phoenix has been waiting for quite a while now may just be about to come after finishing 2nd place last week.
Austria Season 25 was the last time Black Phoenix took a win in PSGL in the F2 League. He didn't win any races last season. His best results were, I believe, a couple of, well, he got a 2nd position at Britain and 1 in Vietnam as well. So there's something about street circuits, judging by Vietnam, that Black Phoenix seems to enjoy. He's got a bit more pace. Austria, F1 2019 as well. He's not had a PSGL win on this game. Let's not forget at the moment. Alpha Faz has got within 3 seconds of Lakitu at the moment, but that could easily change with one little blast on the throttle, just giving you a bit more wheel spin than you would like at this moment in time. M-Short still behind. Lars still not able to get close enough without the DRS. JTM obviously playing a bigger factor around Singapore because of the higher downforce, and we know it's more powerful on this game anyway, as Lars does get a bit of a slide there coming through turn 5. Is that giving M-Short a chance? Looks like he's way too far behind to be able to take advantage. Cornet is still going around in 7th. Benny is 8th. Louis in 9th, but on those fresher intermediates might just fancy his chances at taking 8th position out on track at least. There's no way I can see him pulling out a 9-second gap with 2 laps to go. Black Phoenix is looking good at the moment. All he's got to do is keep it nice and tidy, and he's got that victory.
Yeah, and Joey will be interestingly annoyed, but Louis picks up another penalty. His race has just not gone very well at all. M-Short, though, he still hasn't got past Lars's yellow flags. That would be Louis. Louis is round. It looked interesting, perhaps. I thought he was going in reverse there for a minute, but he isn't. But he spun the car, and yeah, a rather disastrous day in the end for the Red Bull driver, picking up too many penalties, really, to say the least. But At the moment, M-Short still just behind Lars, hasn't really been looking at an overtake, but now desperately he'll be looking for the final lap to get that move done. Lars looks like he's struggling a little bit now, but it has seemed to be that way since he's been with M-Short, but M-Short just not seeming to attack him too much. I'll be very intrigued going into the final lap how he will do and when he will actually finally make his move on the Racing Point driver.
I mean, it's risk versus reward. We've got 1 lap to go. If he gets ahead of Lars, he's going to get him 1 extra point in the championship. We know it's difficult to overtake around here in the dry. It's almost impossible in the wet. I don't think we've actually seen any for the last 6 or 7 laps where there hasn't been quite a big difference in the tyre life. If he gets it wrong, he's binning himself a chance of getting 5 points, possibly. Could retire from the race. He might get a penalty as well if he ends up taking Lars out. So, unless he sees Lars making a mistake, I can't see M-Short at this moment in time going for an overtake. It'd be absolutely fantastic for us if he did give us a bit of action on this final lap of the race, but I think he realises he's got a championship to concern about, he's got bigger things to think about, and might just stay behind unless a really obvious opportunity presents itself through the final few corners. It looks like Alpha Faz is going to manage to jump ahead of his teammate quite comfortably. That gap now 2 seconds, so he's got a second in hand when you consider the penalties. And Joey coming around the final sector for the 31st and final time. This race has chucked pretty much everything at these drivers apart from a full safety car. We've had 2 virtual safety cars, we've had so many different strategies, and there's very few drivers out there who've managed to keep it clean in terms of not getting any front wing damage. Joey is one of them. Unfortunately for him, he hasn't been able to keep it as clean when you consider the penalty situation. Round turn 21. He's got 2 corners to go. Joey will see the checkered flag first then in the PSGL F3 Singapore Grand Prix. But for the first time on F1 2020, Black Phoenix is a PSGL race winner. He takes the victory in the McLaren, a second podium in the row. Lakitu is third across the line, but he will drop behind his teammate Alpha Faz, who also gets a second podium in a row. And it looks like Lars is going to hold on as the fireworks start going off around the Marina Bay here in Singapore. Lars takes 5th, M-Short in 6th place. Bit of a damage limitation race for our championship leader and pole sitter. Cornet will come across the line and take 7th. He will stay there ahead of Benny, who will be 8th. Louis will come home then in 9th position. What a fantastic performance, fantastic tyre management in the first stint, and also fantastic job at keeping it clean and getting no penalties from Black Phoenix. And that's what earned him this victory.
Yeah, and Joey will be, like I said earlier, Joey will be kicking himself so much. He's cost himself probably one of the biggest opportunities really of a lifetime, to be honest, because not many people have won in this era, of course. Last season, it was completely caged by the eventual champion, Kalsper. This season, technically the same sort of thing. It's basically been dominated by the McLaren, but it's not the McLaren that's won today. The McLaren that's won today is Black Phoenix, and it's his first win in quite a while here in PSGL, and I think he'll be loving that. Perhaps he could be looking at a bit more than just one victory and maybe go for another in a couple of weeks, or in fact next week.
Well, I think amazingly, that win puts him up to 3rd in the championship. That is how close it is behind our top 2 at this moment in time. His first victory then of the season. Joey with his best finish in 2nd position. He could have been the man moving up to 3rd in the championship, but good improvement throughout the season. He didn't get any top 5 finishes in the first 4 races. He's had 3 in the last 4. 3rd place, another podium for Alpha Faz. Lakitu closes in on M-Short in the championship, with M-Short finishing behind Lars, who was 5th, only managing 6th place for our championship leader. That gap has gone down slightly at the top. It is now, all of a sudden, you can tell I'm working this out in my head as we go along, 19 points between Lakitu and M-Short. Corey comes home in 7th. Benny in the points once again in 8th. Louis was 9th. And then everyone else failing to finish. Ginger, Chapalele, Gonanane and Simon, who led the race for so long at the start, and Seb Vert. Singapore delivered exactly what we knew Singapore was going to deliver, let's be honest.
Let's not be too surprised about it. And I mean, well, it's been probably the longest stream that we've had to deal with. And obviously it's not over yet because we still have potentially the podium interviews, but we know Joey's still here for the interview, and I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be surprised if he comes in here rather livid, to be honest, because he knows what he could have got, and he didn't get it in the end. But yeah, it's going to be the longest stream because it is the longest race on the calendar, the longest race that you can do in a 50% race. So I was expecting a long and rather tiring sort of comms here tonight. And well, Singapore, as you hear me smash my controller on the floor, and I broke my vibration on it. Lovely, as you can hear. But anyway, with that, it's the Singapore Grand Prix, so long track, and longer with the rain as well at the end there, and well, we've now got podium interviews to get on with.
I mean, yeah, I think we knew it was going to be quite a long, arduous race. Thankfully, no safety cars, because quite often when you get multiple safety cars and so many bits of changeable weather about here, you can have so many different scenarios happening. We knew strategies would be ultra important as well. And seeing as he's in here, we might as well get the man who won out on track, but unfortunately for him, penalties did cost him in the end. It is Joey, his first podium of the season. Second place, still a good result, but so close to that first win of the year.
Yeah, it's quite gutting, to be honest. But yeah, it's just one of them things. Good result in the end, but should have been a win.
Yeah, so close. You seem to have pretty good pace. To be honest, in that intermediate stint, it did look as though, especially at the start, you had better pace for the first couple of laps of the intermediates, perhaps until the VSC came out, then Black Phoenix, and you had a pretty good start to the race as well. Stretching those hards for so long, how tough was it to keep those hards going long enough until the intermediates were suitable? Because we saw a few drivers go onto the intermediates early on, both for the Alpha Tauris, and it was definitely too early for them.
To be honest, it wasn't actually that hard. They were on about 61, I think, when I went in. So they went like really long way without actually wearing that much. But yeah, I always have good wet weather pace because I'm on pad. But like I love Singapore in the wet, especially. I love any track in the wet. But I was thinking I was going to get the gap up to 6 seconds just in case, because I knew I had one warning left before the penalty. And I was like, well, I'll get the gap up to 6 seconds. But then, because I didn't want to risk getting the last warning, I just decided to keep it at 4. So I slowed down instead of going as quick in order to avoid the penalty. But then I ended up getting the penalty anyway. So, I probably could have got the gap if I'd tried, but it wasn't worth it at the time. And then, yeah, just a little spin on turn 1 and I got a penalty.
Still, though, a fantastic result. First podium for yourself of the season. You've scored points in each of the last 4 races. Do you think it is possible, maybe with the 4 remaining tracks, that you could get a victory this season?
Give me a second. I'll just check the calendar.
It's USA, Mexico, Abu Dhabi, and Japan.
Two of them at least are wheel tracks, so it might be quite difficult. But maybe Abu Dhabi or USA, I'd have to put a lot of practice into them. The main one was Russia and Singapore that I was hoping for the win, and I got quite close in both. But I don't know. I'd like to think I'll get at least another podium and before the end of the season, but you never know what will happen. Started P11 and could have won today, so could happen in any race.
Yeah, just have to wait and see. Sam, do you have any questions for our second place finisher?
No questions.
Well, I'll let you get away, Joey, and congratulations on your first podium of the season.
Thank you.
We are now going to get our race winner then. For the first time this season, for the first time in PSGL in F1 2020, his last win, Austria Season 25. It is Black Phoenix. A fantastic job just to keep it clean and get yourself that victory.
Yeah, can you hear me? Just a quick question.
We can.
Okay, just making sure. I haven't done the Discord thing yet, so yeah, I'm sort of knackered after that race because it was very long. Always on the edge, and it's been quite a while since my last victory, as you said. So feels very nice to get back on the top step.
I mean, the pace has been coming. You've shown some consistency throughout the season. When you saw the weather forecast for tonight, were you always determined, just do a lap on the intermediate tyres in qualifying, qualify where I am, put on the hards, and hope they last long enough until the rain comes?
Yeah, I was really debating what I'd do for quali. And when I saw Joey go on the Inters, I thought, I'm not having that, so I'll just go on as well. And yeah, it sort of just arrived at the right time, sort of, because I think it was Lewis and Lakitu were catching on the mediums, and when the wet weather came, it sort of balanced it out. So yeah, that was the strat from when I saw it. Just cards to the end until Inters and got the job done.
Yes, definitely did get the job done. I believe that win now puts you up into third place in the championship. It's fair to say the last two races have been pretty good for yourself.
Yeah, I did not expect it tonight out of all tracks. Because Singapore, like, I've done well in previous PSGL seasons, but I was not expecting myself to do well today. And last week I did well. So hopefully I can take this form into the next couple of races as well.
Sam, do you have any questions for our race winner?
No questions.
Well, I'll let you get off, Black Phoenix, and celebrate your victory.
Thank you.
Well, Sam, probably a podium not many of us would have predicted at the start of the night. I mean, we know Black Phoenix and Faz had good races last time around, but when you had, especially when you look at the top three in qualifying, M Short, Simon, and Lakitu, especially with Simon and Lakitu being on the mediums, you'd have probably expected them to be up there. But it was two drivers who had fresh, hard tyres at the start of the race who managed to get on the first and second. And Faz, let's not forget, was facing the wrong way at turn one, and he still recovered to get a podium.
Yeah, Faz bringing in his inner Sergio Perez. Perhaps, of course, Sergio Perez obviously won the race, which was a slight difference there. But really good race from Faz to recover from that bin on the first lap. But unfortunate for Lakitu not to get a podium, but he was very close indeed. But really for Black Phoenix and Joey, they just really delivered well. And M Shaw and who was the other one again? Oh yeah, Simon. They just got into their own, but I don't really know what happened with M Short. He just fell back, and I wonder if that was just the fact that he went and done the wrong strategy with the softs and then the hard tires, where others opted for the mediums, and it worked. Well, kind of worked. But the thing is, though, really, at the end of all that, is that Simon, he just made a few mistakes, and I don't understand how he really was in such a position he was. He looked like he was clear of everyone and almost certain to win this race. It's probably one of the biggest bottles of a potential race win I've seen in quite a long time, to be honest.
But yes, I'm just reading the chat. M Short got held up in the double stack in the pit lane behind Black Phoenix, even though he was about 10 or 15 seconds behind his teammate. Just lost a few seconds, and that ended up dropping him, I think, behind Faz and Lars in the end, so who knows what he'd have been able to do. And yes, Simon was 8 seconds ahead, and then all of a sudden he was fighting with Shapalele, who got damage. Again for Shapalele, probably this time, not his fault. He would have been looking really good maybe towards the end of this race.
Yeah, I think Shapalele really, in the end of the day, I think he'll be very, very disappointed with what's happened. And obviously, I'm sure he'll come back next week stronger, but really, for Shapalele this season, it's not really been about if he'll win a race or get a podium. It's about when it will happen, because he has looked like he's had really good pace all season. And there's certain tracks, of course, we can pick out, such as tonight in Britain, where if he did qualify better, or if he did make the right decisions, or if he didn't have other issues and everything, he probably would have gone on to get like a podium or even the win in them. So really, really unfortunate for both AlphaTauris again tonight, where strategy just wasn't on their side, and neither really was the drivers really outside of the AlphaTauri team.
Yes, I mean, we say this about Shapalele. Surely things have got to come together for him, but we said it about Lars, and apart from the pre-season race, he didn't win any races last season. He's not won any this season either. That is pretty much it then for this stream. If you haven't got your fix, though, of PSGL action, especially from the PlayStation side, make sure to check out the F1 with Owen Wyatt and Austin Smith taking us through that right now. It is currently a CRG 1-2 with Timon leading Matthias on lap 5 of the Singapore Grand Prix. A few of the leaders, though, have made their pit stops. Thank you again for Sam joining us in the commentary box. Thank you for Joey and Black Phoenix for joining us for the interviews as well. TRT Esports, we must also thank them for providing prizes for the winners of the PS4 and Xbox tier. Talking of the Xbox tier, you'll be able to see them next around the USA Grand Prix circuit, the Circuit of the Americas, on Thursday. The PC tier will also be on then as well. PC at 7, Xbox is at 8, and the lower tiers in the PlayStation side are also on Thursday. Formula Performance is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. The middle tiers are on at Sunday, and then the top tiers are on at Monday with F2 and F3 and F4 at 7 p.m. We knew Singapore, tyres would be important, and getting the weather right would be important. Joey managed to do both of them things, but unfortunately, a last-minute penalty ended up costing him, and it's Black Phoenix tasting the champagne for the first time on this game. Will he be able to get another victory this season? Will we see M Short pull away further in the championship, or will Lakitu just continue reeling in that gap and making it a very interesting end to the season? Take care of yourselves, everyone, and good night.